The town of Black Hollow was surrounded by dense forests and endless fog. People whispered stories about spirits that wandered the woods after midnight, but nobody believed them anymore. Among the townspeople lived a kind woman named Elena Hart. She was known for helping everyone, from struggling families to injured animals. Her generosity earned admiration, but it also attracted jealousy. 3 influential villagers, Mayor Richard Graves, wealthy businessman Victor Kane, and Elena's closest friend Sarah Miller, secretly despised her popularity. Together, they devised a cruel scheme to destroy her reputation and seize the land she inherited from her parents. They spread false accusations, claiming Elena practiced dark rituals in the forest. As rumors spread, fear consumed the town. People who once loved Elena began avoiding her. Even children crossed the street when they saw her. Elena desperately tried to prove her innocence, but nobody listened. One cold evening, Elena discovered the truth. Hidden behind the church, she overheard Richard, Victor, and Sarah laughing about their deception. Realizing her closest friend had betrayed her, Elena felt her heart shatter. Elena confronted the conspirators the following night. She begged Sarah to explain why she had joined the scheme. Sarah avoided her eyes while Richard and Victor mocked her desperation. Instead of confessing, they accused Elena of threatening them. Soon, armed townspeople surrounded her. Fear and anger had transformed neighbors into enemies. Elena tried to escape into the forest, but the mob chased her relentlessly through the darkness. Rain poured from the sky as thunder shook the trees. Elena stumbled across muddy ground while torches glowed behind her like fiery eyes. Eventually she reached an abandoned stone well deep in the woods. Richard, Victor, and Sarah cornered her near the well. Despite her pleas for mercy, they showed none. Victor struck her, causing her to fall against the crumbling stones. Elena stared at Sarah one final time. Tears mixed with rain on her face as she whispered that the truth would one day return. Moments later, the conspirators pushed Elena into the darkness below. The town celebrated Elena's disappearance. Richard claimed she had fled after being exposed. Victor quickly gained control of her property, while Sarah tried to bury her guilt beneath lies. Weeks passed. Then strange events began disturbing Black Hollow. People reported hearing a woman's voice echoing through the forest after sunset. Livestock vanished. Shadows moved where no one stood. The old well became surrounded by unnatural fog every night. One evening, a hunter ventured into the woods and discovered something terrifying. Fresh footprints emerged from the abandoned well and led into the darkness. The next morning the hunter was found dead near the town entrance. His face was frozen in horror. Fear slowly returned to Black Hollow. Meanwhile, deep beneath the earth, something impossible had happened. Elena's restless spirit had awakened. Fueled by betrayal and injustice, death itself refused to claim her soul. The dead woman had begun her journey back. Each night the supernatural disturbances grew stronger. Mirrors cracked without explanation. Clocks stopped at exactly midnight. Villagers heard footsteps outside their homes but found nobody there. Sarah suffered the most. She repeatedly dreamed of Elena standing beside her bed. In every dream, Elena silently pointed toward the forest before vanishing into shadows. Sarah tried convincing herself it was guilt. Yet one morning she awoke to discover muddy footprints across her bedroom floor. Elsewhere, Richard dismissed the incidents as superstition. Victor laughed at frightened villagers and continued enjoying his stolen wealth. But neither man noticed the dark figure watching them from distant tree lines. One stormy night, several townspeople witnessed a pale woman standing near the old well. Her clothes were soaked, her skin unnaturally white, and her eyes glowed with ghostly light. News spread quickly. The woman they betrayed had returned from the dead. The sighting of Elena's ghost threw Black Hollow into panic. Doors were locked before sunset, and nobody dared walk near the forest. The old well became a cursed place that even the bravest hunters avoided. Richard, however, refused to believe the stories. As mayor, he publicly mocked the frightened villagers and declared that someone was pretending to be Elena in order to spread fear. But late one night, Richard heard a strange knocking at his front door. 3 slow knocks. When he opened the door, nobody was there. Then 3 more knocks echoed from behind him. Richard spun around and felt his blood turn cold. Wet footprints stretched across his floor, leading deeper into the house. His hands trembled as he followed the footprints to the dining room. Every candle suddenly extinguished at once. Darkness swallowed the room. A cold voice whispered from the shadows. "Did you think I would stay buried forever?" Richard froze. He recognized the voice instantly. Elena. For the first time since her death, Richard truly understood that something impossible had returned. Richard fled into the streets, screaming Elena's name. Villagers watched in shock as the once powerful mayor stumbled through the town like a frightened child. Nobody believed his story. The next day he tried convincing Victor and Sarah that Elena's spirit had returned. Victor laughed and accused Richard of losing his mind. That night Richard locked every door and window in his home. He kept lights burning in every room and carried a shotgun beside him. Midnight arrived. The clock stopped ticking. An unnatural silence filled the house. Then water began dripping from the ceiling. Drip. 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 Richard looked upward and saw muddy water spreading across the plaster. Suddenly the ceiling cracked open. Dozens of black roots burst into the room like giant snakes. They wrapped around Richard's arms and legs while Elena's ghost slowly descended from above. Her glowing eyes burned with vengeance. "You buried my truth," she whispered. The roots dragged Richard toward the darkness overhead. His screams echoed through the town before abruptly stopping. By sunrise, Richard Graves had vanished without a trace. The disappearance of Richard shattered Victor's confidence. For the first time, he considered the possibility that Elena had truly returned. Still, greed blinded him. He refused to leave the mansion he had purchased using money earned from Elena's stolen land. Meanwhile, Sarah's guilt continued growing stronger every day. She could barely sleep. Everywhere she looked, she thought she saw Elena watching from mirrors, windows, and dark corners. One evening Sarah gathered enough courage to visit the old well. She hoped to apologize. Fog covered the forest as she approached the cursed location. The air felt unnaturally cold. Suddenly a familiar figure appeared beside the well. Elena. Sarah fell to her knees and begged for forgiveness. Tears streamed down her face as she admitted everything. She confessed her betrayal, her lies, and her cowardice. For several seconds, Elena simply stared at her. Then the ghost slowly extended one pale hand. Sarah hesitated, unsure whether mercy or death awaited her. With trembling hands, Sarah reached toward Elena. The moment their fingers touched, terrifying visions flooded her mind. She witnessed Elena's final moments near the well. She felt the pain, fear, and heartbreak of being betrayed by someone she trusted. Sarah collapsed to the ground, overwhelmed by guilt. When she looked up again, Elena's expression had changed. The rage in her eyes had softened slightly. "You were weak," Elena whispered. "But you were not the monster." Elena told Sarah that one final debt remained unpaid. Victor Kane. The businessman had orchestrated the entire scheme because he wanted Elena's land and wealth. Richard had helped, but Victor had been the true mastermind behind her destruction. Elena vanished into the fog. Determined to make amends, Sarah rushed toward Victor's mansion to warn him. But she was already too late. As lightning illuminated the night sky, a blood-curdling scream echoed across Black Hollow. Victor Kane's judgment had begun. Victor Kane ran through the halls of his mansion, desperately searching for the source of the scream. Every servant had vanished. Every room stood empty. The mansion felt dead. Lightning flashed outside, illuminating portraits hanging along the walls. Victor froze when he noticed something impossible. Every portrait now showed Elena's face. No matter where he looked, her glowing eyes stared back at him. Panic consumed him. He grabbed a flashlight and rushed toward the front door, but the entrance suddenly slammed shut with supernatural force. The windows shattered. Cold wind howled through the mansion. Then muddy water began flowing across the floor. The same muddy water from the abandoned well. Victor backed away as the water rose around his feet. From its dark surface emerged pale ghostly hands reaching toward him. One by one they climbed from the water. Among them stood Elena. Her soaked white dress drifted unnaturally in the air. Her glowing eyes burned brighter than ever before. "You stole my life," she said. Victor fell to his knees, begging for mercy. But some sins could never be forgiven. Victor promised to return the stolen land. He promised money, power, and anything Elena desired. The ghost remained silent. Slowly, she raised one hand. The mansion trembled violently. Cracks spread across the walls as shadows swirled around Victor. The spirits of countless betrayed souls appeared behind Elena, their glowing eyes fixed upon him. For years Victor had ruined lives for profit. Now every victim stood as a witness. Victor screamed as shadowy hands dragged him backward into a growing darkness beneath the mansion floor. His voice echoed through the storm. Then silence. The shadows vanished. The muddy water disappeared. Victor Kane was gone. As dawn broke over Black Hollow, the curse began lifting from the town. The fog surrounding the forest slowly faded. Birds returned. Sunlight touched the abandoned well for the first time in months. Sarah later revealed the truth about Elena's betrayal to the entire town. The stolen land was restored, and a memorial was built in Elena's honor. That night, Sarah visited the well one final time. For a brief moment, Elena's spirit appeared beneath the moonlight. This time, she was smiling. Then she faded into the night. The woman they betrayed had come back from the dead. And justice had finally been served.